New York City, 1892, early morning. Ships from Palermo arrive at Ellis Island. Thousands of Sicilian immigrants step off with ragged clothes, one suitcase each, and eyes that do not trust anyone. Among them are men with no names, fugitives with codes, fugitives with blood debts. They blend into the crowd. Laborers, bricklayers, shoe-shine boys. But at night, they whisper about something older than America. A word passed from village to village back in Sicily. La Cosa Nostra, our thing. In the crowded tenement streets of Mulberry Bend and Little Italy, small Sicilian gangs begin to form. They are not organized yet. Each group controls a block, a corner, a protection racket. They collect money from shopkeepers in exchange for safety. The first major crime linked to these new immigrants happens in New Orleans in 1890. Police Chief David Hennessy is ambushed with shotguns. Witnesses hear Italian voices. When suspects are caught, an angry mob storms the jail and lynches 11 Sicilian men. Newspapers call it the Mafia. The word sticks. Back in New York, Sicilian men read those headlines and make a vow. Never speak, never leave witnesses, never let outsiders understand the code. They base their structure on the Sicilian model. Omerta, silence above all. The boss, the underboss, the consigliere, the captains, the soldiers. Each position is earned through loyalty and blood. In 1909, a milestone killing marks their power. Police Lieutenant Joseph Petrosino, an Italian-American detective, is sent to Palermo to investigate criminal links between Sicily and New York. He is shot dead in the street. The hit is ordered by Don Vito Cascioferro, a Sicilian mafia boss. The message is clear. The mafia is now international. By the 1910s, New York's Sicilian enclaves are controlled by several small but violent groups. The Morello family in Harlem, the Rayner gang in the Bronx, the Castellamarese faction from western Sicily. They earn through counterfeiting, extortion, and smuggling olive oil that hides contraband. But everything changes with one law: prohibition. Alcohol becomes illegal. To the mafia, it becomes gold. Hundreds of small gangs fight for control of smuggling routes. Trucks filled with Canadian whiskey and Caribbean rum move under cover of night. The Sicilians rise above the chaos. One of them is Salvatore Charlie Lucky Luciano. He is young, ambitious, and smart. He understands that Sicilians cannot rule alone. He builds alliances with Jewish and Irish gangsters, Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel among them. Together they turn prohibition into a billion-dollar operation. By 1925, Luciano's mentor Joe the Boss Masseria controls most of Manhattan, but another Sicilian, Salvatore Maranzano, challenges him. Both claim to be the true leader. New York becomes a battlefield. The Castellamarese War lasts 2 years. Dozens die. Luciano waits and watches. Then, in April 1931, he makes his move. Masseria is eating lunch in a Coney Island restaurant. Luciano excuses himself to the restroom. 4 gunmen enter: Bugsy Siegel, Albert Anastasia, Joe Adonis, and Vito Genovese. They kill Masseria. Weeks later, Maranzano declares victory and reorganizes the mafia into 5 families: Luciano, Genovese, Lucchesi, Bonanno, and Profaci. But Maranzano makes one fatal mistake. He calls himself boss of bosses. Luciano does not tolerate kings. In September 1931, Maranzano is assassinated in his Park Avenue office. That day marks the birth of the American Mafia. Luciano creates the Commission, a council to govern the families. Each family gets territory and voting power. Disputes are settled by vote, not blood. The Sicilian Code merges with American ambition. The Mafia becomes an empire. By 1935, every major union, dock, and trucking company in New York is under Mafia control. They run construction, garbage hauling, gambling, and nightclubs. They are no longer thugs in alleys, they are businessmen in suits. They have become part of the system. New York City, 1936. Lucky Luciano is arrested for running a massive prostitution ring. The case is built by prosecutor Thomas Dewey. The evidence is weak, but the sentence is strong. Luciano gets up to 50 years in prison. Behind bars, he still controls operations through Frank Costello, Vito Genovese, and Carlo Gambino. The structure he built is so strong it runs itself. During World War II, Luciano strikes a deal with the US Navy. He uses his contacts on the docks to help prevent Nazi sabotage. In return, he earns early parole. When the Allies invade Sicily in 1943, Luciano's contacts help them navigate local terrain. By 1946, he is deported to Italy, but his empire continues. Frank Costello becomes the public face of the organization. Vito Genovese rebuilds his network. Carlo Gambino quietly expands power. The Mafia moves into unions through the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Jimmy Hoffa controls billions in pension funds. Mafia loans fund Las Vegas casinos and Hollywood projects. From 1947 to 1957, the Mafia is untouchable. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover refuses to admit it exists. Politicians accept envelopes of cash. Then, in 1957, a meeting changes everything. A state trooper in Appalachian, New York, notices dozens of luxury cars parked outside a rural home. Inside, bosses from all major Mafia families are meeting in secret. Police raid the gathering. Dozens flee into the woods. Many are caught. The myth of invisibility is gone. The world now knows the Mafia is real. In 1959, Joe Valachi, a soldier in the Genovese family, breaks omerta. Facing death, he testifies before Congress. He describes the Mafia hierarchy, the initiation ritual, and the names of the 5 families. It is the first time the public hears the term Cosa Nostra. Valachi's testimony leads to the creation of new FBI units focused on organized crime. Wiretaps and hidden microphones become the main tools. The Mafia responds by going deeper underground. The 1960s bring new opportunities: heroin trafficking, gambling in Cuba, real estate in Las Vegas. The Bonanno family expands into drugs. The Lucchese family controls labor rackets. The Gambino family dominates the airports. Carlo Gambino becomes the new boss of bosses, quiet, calculating, invisible. He dies peacefully in 1976, the dream ending for any mob boss. But after his death, the unity begins to crumble. In 1970, the US passes the RICO Act, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Law. For the first time, prosecutors can convict Mafia leaders for crimes committed by their soldiers. It is the weapon law enforcement has been waiting for. By the 1980s, the FBI has wiretaps inside every major Mafia family. Meetings are recorded. Conversations about murders, extortion, and drug deals become evidence. In 1985, the Commission case indicts the top bosses of New York: Tony Dux Corallo of the Lucchese family, Fat Tony Salerno of the Genovese, Carmine Persico of the Colombo, and Paul Castellano of the Gambino family. Luciano's creation, the Commission, becomes the evidence that destroys it. In December 1985, Castellano is murdered outside Sparks Steakhouse. John Gotti takes his place. For a short time, the Mafia returns to fame. Expensive suits, headlines, cameras. Gotti becomes known as the Teflon Don. But wiretaps keep recording. By 1992, Gotti is convicted on multiple charges, including murder. His underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano, turns against him. The code of silence that built the Mafia now tears it apart. The 5 families still exist, but they are smaller and quieter. The RICO Act, informants and technology have broken the old power. Yet the roots in Sicily remain strong. In Palermo, the Sicilian Mafia evolves into a political and economic force. Drug trafficking connects Palermo, New York, and South America. The Pizza Connection case in the 1980s exposes a billion-dollar heroin network. The Bonanno family's U.S. operations are tied directly to Sicilian suppliers. Dozens of mobsters are arrested and convicted. Meanwhile, in America, the remaining families adapt. They move into construction, waste management, loan sharking, and offshore gambling. They stay alive by blending in. Their legacy moves beyond crime. The Mafia's structure and discipline influence corporate culture, politics, and entertainment. Hollywood turns their story into legend. The Godfather glorifies their power. Goodfellas reveals their greed. The Sopranos shows their humanity. But behind the movie lights lies the truth. The Mafia began with desperate immigrants escaping poverty. They built a world in the shadows, bound by loyalty and fear. From 1890 to 1990, they evolved from street thugs to businessmen, from killers to financiers. They controlled banks, unions, and city contracts. They influenced judges, police chiefs, and mayors, yet they left no fingerprints. By the 2000s, the mafia was smaller but still alive. In 2011, the FBI arrested more than 100 members from all 5 families in a single sweep. The names were familiar: Gambino, Genovese, Lucchese, Bonanno, Colombo. The cycle continues, but the beginning never changes. Ships from Sicily, men with nothing but silence and an old code of honor. They built their world in the shadows, and from those shadows they built America's deadliest secret society,